welcome to Catalan News. 90% of voters chose yes to independence in Sunday's referendum. Today, the final referendum results have been published, showing that almost 8% voted to stay in Spain. The results came amid doubts about what will happen next week in Parliament. Will Catalonia declare independence from Spain? How would Madrid respond? Meanwhile, big companies have started to relocate their legal headquarters to other parts of Spain to reduce uncertainty, and Switzerland has said it's willing to mediate between Madrid and Barcelona. Here at Catalan News, we've got everything about this. Let's start. It was not an easy referendum. Ballot boxes had to be hidden in surreal places such as cemeteries, tops of trees, or even churches. Voters were beaten up by riot police, and many polling stations had to close, while the online census was attacked electronically. But nonetheless, 43.03 Catalans turned out to vote last Sunday. Official results published today show that 90.08% voted yes, more than 2 million people. Meanwhile, 7.83% voted no, around 177,000 people. Some 44,000 people voted blank. International observers to the vote praised Catalan's determination to hold it, despite the wide repression that was seen in many polling stations. Participation at 43% was higher than that of the 2005 referendum on an EU constitution. After these results, the big question is, now what? The Spanish Constitutional Court banned a plenary debate scheduled for Monday amid fears that pro-yes parties could declare independence, but the session will be held instead on Tuesday. Catalan leaders have not confirmed whether a declaration is on the table, and calls for mediation have kept growing today.
The Catalan government is keeping to its independence roadmap and will bring the referendum results, a yes victory, to Parliament next week. President Carles Puigdemont was set to do so on Monday, but Spain's Constitutional Court blocked the session. Instead, he will address Catalan lawmakers on Tuesday. Will the Parliament declare independence then? The anti-capitalist coup has no doubts.
I la nostra voluntat és que, efectivament, en el marc, en el context d'aquest ple, es produeixi aquesta declaració d'independència que el nostre país està demanant.
But what about external mediation? The Catalan government has repeatedly called for someone to step in and sit between the two sides at the negotiation table. So far, the most notable candidate is Switzerland. The offer was announced by its public broadcaster today. The Catalan government is unlikely to accept any deal that does not include a referendum, but unionist organizations are dead against it.
Los ciudadanos no independentistas no queremos confrontarnos con nuestros conciudadanos, no queremos ganarles en un referéndum ni que nos ganen, y aún sabiendo que nosotros ganaríamos, no queremos ganarles.
Barcelona Mayor Ada Colau is trying to cool the political tensions. She met a group of European diplomats on Thursday and called for a multi-level platform for dialogue, which could be supervised by the EU.
Creiem que ara mateix trobar una solució al conflicte polític de fons és difícil, és molt complexa, però no ha de ser tan complexa desescalar la tensió, que és el que vol la immensa majoria de la població, sense cap mena de dubte.
Colau also called for the governments in Barcelona and Madrid to give some ground. On the one hand, the Catalan government should give up on a unilateral declaration of independence. On the other, she asks Spain to withdraw police forces and to resist the temptation to take over Catalonia's self-government.
Sedition comes with prison time of up to 15 years, and that is the charge that the Catalan police chief faces, along with two pro-independence leaders that today were questioned by Spain's national court. They were released without precautionary charges, but the investigation continues on their role during demonstrations in Barcelona, in which citizens protested against the arrest of high-ranking officials by the Spanish police.
The Catalan police chief has been released after being questioned for sedition. The Mossos chief and the leaders of two civil society organisations were called today before Spain's national court. They testified as part of an investigation linked to the September 20th and 21st demonstrations held in Barcelona. They face up to 15 years in prison for alleged rebellion against authorities. On September 20th, thousands of people gathered in the streets in the name of democracy and freedom, while Spanish police carried out raids and arrested high-ranking Catalan officials in a huge anti-referendum operation. Demonstrators protested peacefully against Spanish police actions during that day, and there were no major incidents. But Spanish authorities were not satisfied by the Catalan police's role that day, and the prosecutor immediately announced a sedition investigation against the Mossos chief and the organisers of the demonstration. They said that protests in front of Catalan government buildings hindered the police operation, in which 15 high-ranking officials were arrested. Before the court, the Catalan police chief testified for an hour and maintained that Catalan police hadn't known of Spanish police's intentions to carry out raids on that day, but always acted with professionalism in order to maintain public order. Pro-independence civic groups leaders refused to testify.
Bé, en el cas d'Òmnium ens hem acollit al dret de no declarar. Ens hem acollit en aquest dret perquè no reconeixem la competència d'aquest tribunal per jutjar-nos en aquest fet que se'ns vol imputar de sedició.
When the hearing was over, no precautionary charges were made against the defendants, but troubles for Catalan police do not end there. 17 judges are now investigating the Mossos for their alleged inaction on October 1st, the day of the referendum. Some accuse the Catalan police force of not acting to prevent the people from voting. Only one judge, however, has started to investigate Spanish police's violent actions on referendum day. The judge is investigating Spanish riot police actions in Barcelona that left 130 people injured in 26 polling stations. The Spanish government representative in Catalonia, Enrique Millor, apologized for violence that took place on referendum day, but went on to blame the Catalan government for having provoked the situation in the first place by encouraging people to vote.
Following events on referendum day, many NGOs are investigating the role of the Spanish riot police. We can speak now to Kartik Raj, Human Rights Watch researcher for Western Europe. He arrived in Catalonia on Sunday and is leaving today after conducting dozens of interviews. Mr. Raj, why did your organization send someone to Catalonia?
Well, thanks very much for having me on. I was, to be honest, I could tell you the story personally. I was at home on Sunday morning, turned on the radio and started hearing news from Catalonia coming in of clashes at voting stations. I spoke with my boss as the reports mounted during the day, and we decided that given the allegations of use of force, it made sense for a Human Rights Watch staffer to be here and to follow up on concrete allegations and investigate them further.
You said on Twitter that police should ensure when using force that their actions are necessary and proportionate. Was this the case in Catalonia on referendum day?
Well, I mean, just to explain to you what that means. We derive that from international law. So police are allowed to use force. That's something we all agree that police do. But when they do use it, they need to make sure that it's necessary and proportionate in order for it to be lawful. Now, the reason I'm here is because we received allegations that there were lots of instances in which the amount of force used or the way in which force was used was not proportionate or necessary and was in fact excessive. And that's what I'm here to do, is to look into a few cases and do my best to verify the facts so I can make a judgment call on that.
Almost 900 people were reportedly injured during Sunday's police operation. Spain's ruling People's Party, though, dismissed these figures as false and claimed only 4 people were hurt. Could you comment on this?
Well, I haven't seen the Spanish government's suggestion of 4 people injured. I'm relying on the approximate of about 900. I've personally spoken with about 50 people who were injured, so it's more than 4. But I certainly haven't spoken with 900 people myself. I couldn't feasibly.
You have been meeting with Catalan government officials as well as officials in Madrid. As the political tension continues to escalate, what questions do you think both governments should be answering right now?
Well, just to make things clear, we might not necessarily have meetings with them, but what we will do is seek their response or make them aware of our findings. And I think that's important. But I think there's at a time when politics are tense and things are polarized and extremely politicized, it sometimes can help to just strip things back to thinking about concrete things like individual people getting hurt and what might be the best way to establish the facts around that and make sure that people are held to account if something did in fact go wrong, their human rights were violated. And that would apply, you know, to people who are demonstrating who allege that the police treated them badly, and that would be a valid approach for the police who allege that they were assaulted by some demonstrators as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raj from Human Rights Watch.
Of course, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Let's move on now to business, because today new companies have decided to move their legal headquarters from Barcelona to other parts in Spain because of the uncertainty over independence. And the Spanish government is facilitating it. Banc Sabadell took the decision to relocate its HQ to Alicante on Thursday, with CaixaBank discussing a relocation to Valencia. Energy group Gas Natural also moved its legal HQ from Barcelona to Madrid, with other large companies such as Freixenet and Abertis studying what to do amid political uncertainty. The Spanish economy minister said the Catalan government is to blame for this situation.
Evidentemente, las políticas irresponsables generan determinadas actuaciones por parte de los grupos empresariales, por parte de los agentes económicos, ¿no? Y la política irresponsable del Gobierno de la Generalitat, de algún modo, pues genera alarma, genera incertidumbre, y eso es lo peor que puede haber en el mundo empresarial.
While uncertainty continues in the business world over independence, a lot continues to happen in Catalonia. And one of the best cultural proposals these days is the Sitges Cinema Festival, that for 50 years has been presenting the best horror and fantasy movies.
For fantasy and horror movie buffs, the Sitges Film Festival once again opened its door this week. The event began with a gala on October 5, attended by stars like Susan Sarandon. The festival also kicked off with the showing of filmmaker Guillermo del Toro's new movie, The Shape of Water. Del Toro movie comes to theaters in January of next year. This fantastical love story between a woman and a beast takes place during the Cold War. Through it, the director wanted to analyze the difference between love and fear. He made the film in response to tensions in America, but he also feels strongly about what's happening in Catalonia.
Es tan reciente y es tan tremendo. Para mí es muy doloroso verlo, pero creo que es importante que como mexicano tenga el respeto y la distancia.
The festival gives out many prizes, and the Grand Honorary Award already went to the director of the iconic horror film The Exorcist, William Friedkin. He also had an opinion about the situation in Catalonia.
America had a revolution. It was not legal. It was not legal. And yet we had a revolution. There is no democracy possible without the consent of the governed.
The event is also celebrating its 50th anniversary, which inspired a cinema exhibition earlier this year. Also featured in the festival is the horror film Annabelle Creation, before it comes out in theaters on October 12. Moviegoers can enjoy the film festival until October 17.
And with this, we finish today's show. We'll be back next week, expected to be an intense one in Catalonia, especially in Parliament. Before we go, we leave you with some music from the Fira de Mediterránea in Manresa. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your weekend.